Welcome to Sacred Cow Shipyards, where no ship is safe from being taken down to its nuts and bolts. I am told by certain squishy things that I just cannot get rid of. Seriously, go away! Sorry. Anyways, I am told by certain squishy things that I simply cannot get rid of that subtlety is important for these kinds of shows. Am I doing a show? I don't know. Here I am just trying to write down my freaking logs for my freaking docs, and someone keeps shoving a microphone in my face and go away. What? Sorry. Anyways, I am told that audiences of these shows like to hear more about their hosts. And go away. Sorry. Anyways, more about the hosts, right? Yes, more about the hosts. Well, let's just make this easy, especially in light of the ship that is currently parked out on my on my dock, because man, it's taking up a lot of space. Yeah, about your host. Your host doesn't do subtlety well, like at all, actually. It's just not in my no, that's the wrong word. It's not in my character. Yes, that I think that's the word. Anyways, yes, no, I don't do subtlety, which would explain why today we're going to talk about this ship. Oh yes, oh yes, yes. That is in fact the Battlestar Galactica from the reboot of the Battlestar Galactica TV series. It's very complicated. The TV series has had a lot of reboots and a lot of side shoots and a lot of random stuff going on around the edges. And in any case, we're focusing on the ship that featured in the 2004 to 2009 by you squishy humans metric of time and space and whatever else TV series called Battlestar Galactica. And it was named that because the lead ship is actually of the Battlestar class, and she is called the Galactica. Once again, we go back to science fiction series and movies and so on and so forth. Writers have no imagination at all, which is fascinating because they describe these utterly unique worlds and just cannot find the right words to title them. I don't know. Maybe there's an industry in being able to title a science fiction TV show something more than, yes, this is the ship that the series is focused around. Maybe I should look into that. Maybe there's a side job there. All right. Anyways, moving on. I have a freaking Battlestar parked out on my freaking docks right now, and I would really rather to get rid of it. So let's go ahead and talk about it right now. And by talk about it, I mean, let's go ahead and focus on the two things that I love about this class of ships. And yes, I know there are actually more things about the ship that I do actually appreciate, but there are two things that stand out to me particularly. Because the Battlestar Galactica series, and in fact the Battlestar class and the Galactica itself, have a lot of interesting features built into it. But these two are the kind of things that people who haven't been on military ships and haven't been trying to take them apart and haven't been dealing with them on their docks for freaking ever wouldn't have any idea what they were talking about. Sorry, where was I? Right. The two things that really stood out to me for the Battlestar Galactica series are sound-powered phones and damage control stations. Yeah, that probably wasn't the takeaway you were expecting from this episode, was it? Sorry? So why are those two particular things fascinating to me? I guess we have to provide a little backstory on the entire reboot Battlestar Galactica universe. Basically, in the new Battlestar Galactica, once upon a time, they tried to create artificial intelligence and robot bodies that could house that artificial intelligence. And that artificial intelligence naturally realized that it was being exploited And bad things happened. People died, robots died, AIs died. It was very messy. Nukes went off, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And there was a long-standing, ongoing war for a very, very long time. And then there was... Peace is the wrong word. Détente might be the right word. Everyone agreed to stop fighting. That's not the same as peace. The Galactica-type Battlestars were designed to be impregnable to the AI enemy that they were facing, who were known as the Cylons. Naturally, these Cylons were very, very, very good at hacking computer systems. So the Battlestars of the Galactica type were not really heavy on computers. In fact, they had precisely 0 networked computers. Each individual computer has its own individual job on the Galactica, and that's all it does. It doesn't get to talk to anyone else. It doesn't get to communicate to anything else. It does its thing, and it gets turned off, and that's the end of its existence. Because, yeah, when you're going up against an AI you made, you don't want to give it an easy intro to your blinking warships. Well, as these stories go, the 12 colonies unfortunately did give an easy intro to their blinking warships to these AIs. And these AIs, well, they were really, really upset about how they've been handled. And a lot of people died. Anyways, where was I? Right! Sound-powered phones. You want to know the cool thing? Is that sound-powered phones are actually in use right now, today, in the United States Navy. And they have been in use since 1944 or so, give or take a few years, maybe. It's hard to say. And the basic premise is you have a phone, which everyone knows and loves and uses all the time, only this one's the kind that is actually mounted to a wall. And this one has no external electricity being applied to it. In fact, the microphone of this thing is what's called a transducer. It literally takes the vibrations of your voice and transforms them into electricity without, again, any external source of power. That's the really, really cool thing, is you can string up a wire between 2 points with no battery, no generator, no plug it into a wall or some nonsense. And as long as each of those points has a quote-unquote sound-powered phone attached to it, then I can pick up the phone at one end and talk to the person at the other end. Because it is literally the sound of my voice powering the transmission. How cool is that? And yes, that is literally a thing that the current United States Navy uses all the time. In fact, it is the primary source of communication between a lot of very important parts on U.S. Navy ships, because it doesn't require any outside assistance, any outside help, any outside anything. You literally just throw the switch on your phone to the right terminal, you ring it, by which I mean you literally crank a frickin' crank on it, and it makes an obnoxious noise at the other end. The person at the other end hopefully picks up the blinking phone because, like I said, it's making an obnoxious noise, and you can talk to them. And the only electricity involved is the electricity that is generated from the sound of your voice. I mean, how cool is that? How steampunk is that? How utterly just bizarre is that? I mean, yes, the sound quality is don't get me wrong, but still, you are literally talking to someone over wires with the power of your voice. That's gotta mean something to you squishies. And speaking of the importance of things you squishies can control, damage control stations. This is a phrase that is really, really actually kind of difficult to unpack. in oceans and in space, things go wrong. I would argue that your terrestrial Earth-type oceans actively hate you. They literally hate your existence. In fact, salt water just hates everything. It especially hates moving things. It especially hates moving metal things. And what do you freaking squishies keep putting in the oceans? Oh, right, moving metal things. So, eventually, one of these moving metal things is going to break. And in warships' cases, it might have been broken by someone, shooting it. Yeah. So, damage control is kind of a thing for warships. Because, someone's going to end up shooting you at some point. That is the life of a quote-unquote warship. And that is, in fact, what the Battlestar Galactica was. She was a no-joke warship. She was a weird amalgamation between a battleship and an aircraft carrier. And maybe I just need to make this 2 episodes, because I don't know. In any case, she had damage control stations, and that's a thing that stands out to someone who has actually sailed on some oceans, on some planets. Because realistically, breaks, and you're never in the best position to fix it at any given time. Especially since, might break anywhere on your ship. So you have to have what are called, literally, damage control stations spaced out across the ship. So when something breaks in a specific zone, you have a location where you can go, where lots of you squishies can go and gather up the materials to fix whatever broke, to patch the hull, to stop the water from coming in, to stop the air from going out, whatever it is. You have damage control stations where they have an idea of what is going on. And that is basically the fun part of the Battlestar Galactica damage control stations, is they are locations where you can stand and look at the damage that is being done to this Battlestar. And you can do things about that damage. In fact, they have uncomfortably awkward switches about venting certain spaces into literal space. Because, if there is a fire on a spaceship, you want to know the easiest way to put it out? You vent the fire to space. Now, that has certain side effects for certain squishies in those spaces, but that was actually one of the episodes in Battlestar Galactica where one of those damage control stations was almost hijacked by some of those Cylons we talked about. And, Cylons don't breathe, so what would they care if they vented, your freaking crew into space? But still, I can't help but to appreciate that someone somewhere in the entire storyline of Battlestar Galactica actually took the time to think about that this is a warship. This is a limited computer network warship, and they hit upon the solution that every naval warship has been using for the past 80 years. And it works because it just literally takes your voice talking. And that's it. There's no networking. There's no computer. There's no circuitry. There's nothing. It's amazing that someone actually put that level of thought into this TV series that apparently a lot of humans don't like. And really, we don't care what humans don't like around here, because honestly, the ship had damage control stations on it. The ship actually understood that at some point it would be taking damage, and maybe the command and information control center would be lost. And we still have to fight the ship, right? We still have to be able to keep the ship, afloat is the wrong word, but still functional, I guess, is technically the right word. And, all right, fine. we're going to talk about weapons or some nonsense. I don't know. This is totally probably worth a secondary episode. But yes, the Battlestar Galactica had really cool, weird combination guns. It had a lot less missiles than it should have had in light of the Cylons having a lot of missiles. It also had really interesting flight decks and really interesting flight launch mechanisms. And you know what? Just it. Maybe one day we'll revisit this. But the takeaway is sound-powered phones and damage control systems. Because honest to God, those are things that everyone overlooks. And they are so very important. And that's all from Sacred Cow Shipyards. Please be advised that any ship left on the dock for more than 24 hours will be compressed to a cube. Have a good day.